how much evidence would you need to convince you that the post-life is real?
The impossible made possible.
Okay.
The unusual made usual. Anything that is just out of this world, just happening.
And what's the likelihood of that?
No such thing. There's
What's your name?
Peter.
Peter? Good to meet you. I'm David.
Nice to meet you as well.
Yeah. So I take it you're a student here.
Yes.
How are you liking it?
It's good. I transferred here from HCC, and I currently take computer science.
Okay.
It's nice. I like it so far.
So just to kind of explain what we're doing, we're exploring folks' epistemology, how you justify the confidence you have in something being true.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is I'll have you choose a statement that you're convinced is true about our shared world.
Okay.
So in other words, not like an opinion,
Okay.
something that you think is true. And we will both be on the same team exploring the relationship between the quality of your reasoning
Mm-hmm.
and the confidence that you have in the statement being true. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So I'll ask you questions like how you arrived at your confidence, what's supporting the confidence, and why you're convinced that your reasons justify the confidence that you have in your statement being true.
Okay. And how would we select the statement?
Something that's meaningful to you. One thing that I like to kind of say is if you found out it was not true tomorrow, the way that you act in the world would change. The more meaningful the topic is to you, the more meaningful the conversation will be.
Okay. It's broad, but could you give me some big ones? I have one in mind, but I want to see if there's any other big ones that you might have spoke with somebody else in the past about that are, interesting to look at.
Ghosts are real.
Okay. What other ones?
The earth is flat.
Okay.
My religion is true.
Mm-hmm.
A certain candidate is the best one to vote for.
Mm-hmm. I think the religion one probably.
Religion?
I think so.
Okay.
I think that would be a good one.
Okay. So
how would we attack that?
What is the most confident statement you can say about the topic on religion?
I think, okay, so the most confident perspective I could have on religion would be that probably at this current moment, we couldn't tell which one is the right one uh, due to lack of evidence or lack of the strength of the evidence for, finding which one is the truest
Okay.
or the right one, quote unquote.
Uh,
Or if there is one at that.
yeah, I was going to say, could they all be false?
Right, that's possible. Yeah.
Okay. How could we find out?
I think that would be tough. Like, at the current moment, it's only backed, at least like the current most popular religions of, um, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, all based. I think they're all Abrahamic religions. Currently, those are all backed by one structure of books that all kind of stacked on top of each other as time went through um, BC and the first century. But
Would you say one is more true than the other?
I have read the Bible and I've read through the Quran, and the only things that could kind of show the light between each one would be the evidence that pertains within those readings, because they are written in different during different times, and each time it's supposed to enlighten on new what would you call them? What was Muhammad and what was he?
Muslim?
Yes, but he was I don't remember the word for it.
Prophet?
Yes, a prophet.
Okay.
So they enlighten on prophets, and then they show evidence of, like, people who back Christianity will speak a lot about specific locations and settings and places and buildings that were all represented in the Bible and things like that. So the only thing that I could tell right now that could shed light on which one is the right one is the evidence that we find within the text. But then those events they were so far back that they could have happened and then were written about. And that's why people now connect them today, saying that those things happened, we found the locations, therefore it's true.
Okay. So the way to find out which one is more true is by reading the texts that they
Well, I'm saying,
derive
like,
their beliefs from?
currently people base it off of that.
Okay.
But I think that there's no way. I believe that my belief is that there's no way to tell at the moment.
Okay. There's no way to tell which one is more accurate?
Yes, or if there is one.
Okay. And they both could be inaccurate. Like, are you saying that?
Any of them could be inaccurate, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. And there's no way to tell right now which one is more accurate.
Correct. That's what I believe.
Okay. If one person claims that theirs is accurate and the other one is inaccurate, is there a way to tell if they're mistaken?
No? I don't think
Okay.
so.
All right. And currently, you're not convinced that one is more accurate than the other?
No. I try and learn about it as much as I can, because I am curious about what contents are in all the readings, and what people use to justify their beliefs in the religion. But
What's the best reason you've heard for one of these to be accurate from someone who thinks that it is?
I've never heard a good reason, but I've made one of my own, which was that if it's held strong, I don't know how strongly or how well communication was back in the day, where people could test a thesis of some sort, like where did this text come from or who wrote it, and then deny it and be able to like validate the information to where they can then ensure that something false doesn't continue and spread into something. But like the fact that it has stayed so strong and popular between, you know, the population of the world kind of tells me that there might have been something, an event or something that happened that caused really strong beliefs. But yeah,
Are you saying that popularity is the best reason that you've heard to justify somebody's belief in one of these religions?
the best reason that I've kind of heard, like, or made or heard, yes, so
Okay.
far.
Okay. And why is it not convincing to you? Why is that? Why are you not convinced by that reason?
I'm not convinced by the popularity reason because I know that, you know, back in the day, we had things like witch hunts, and people believed witches were real. And so, if that happened, even earlier when we may have been even less informed and less intelligent, you know, the further we go back into the past, it could have been something that somebody mentioned and turned into a tale that just grew. And it could have also been a form of control from. So I think back during that time that religion formed more popular to the public or to the people. It could have been. Sorry, let me catch up with myself here. So back when it arose and became popular, I think during that time period, literature was powerful enough, and I think there were enough people who were intelligent within the literature community to come together and form a structure under the guidance of a government to create a religion or multiple revisions of a religion to help control populace.
Okay. So popularity isn't a good enough reason to convince you because of the likelihood that that the popularity arose because of control.
Because of control, wanting to control a society, which is, you know, which has free will, quote unquote. They could do whatever they want unless you guide them with a structure, or that it was a tale that just ended up expanding much broader
Okay.
into like a cult-like following.
Okay. Let me kind of zoom out a little bit.
Yeah.
What's driving your curiosity to find out if these are true or not?
Because within their literature, they all say that, you know, if you don't believe in it and if you don't end up finding out the truth, or if you don't try to find out the truth, then you'll just end up going to hell, or you're going to be away from God, which means, you know, post death, you would live in nothingness or a worse than the people who did.
Okay. And so why does that matter to you?
I have a care for my, you know, sense of self, and I want to be prosperous at any point, you know, during my life. And if there is a post life, then I want to, you know, live prosperously or do the right thing for my post life self.
Okay.
And if that's a thing that is available, then I would like to learn about it and do my best within it. And so if there is a religion that states these, you know, has these claims and they're true, I would abide by them and you know, but if they weren't true, then I would just go on without it.
Okay. How confident are you that there is a post life?
Not confident.
Okay.
I until I until I, you know, have the evidence that it does exist, I don't believe that there's a reason to begin to believe any of it. because um, all of these texts as well mention the fact that um, you can pick it up at any point, the religion, and find acceptance. And as long as you are on the process of finding these things and we're on the right path, you'll be okay regardless. So it's interesting to me to, go along that.
Okay. What would evidence for post-life look like?
I think it can come in any form. It can come in one that's direct, that just happens right in front of us. Like something appears that is unusual, like somebody teleports right in front of us or something like that, and that instantly just throws everything.
Teleportation would be evidence for you to believe in a post-life?
Possibly, it would help me question the world even harder. It would be okay if we're speaking specifically post-life.
Yeah.
Proof of that, I don't know if there is a way because I don't know of anything currently that proves, or sorry, that shows that post-life exists within the same realm as this does, to where it can affect us. So I don't know if there's a way for that to happen, unless literally some all-knowing being comes from the sky
Okay.
and says like, post-life does exist, and then that would be huge.
What other explanations could there be for that experience of an all-knowing being other than post-life?
Another explanation for that?
Yeah, like I guess the experience of an all-knowing being showing up. What does that have to do with post-life?
If they come out and straight say that, heaven exists, hell exists, live your life accordingly to blank religion.
Okay. Um, could someone have that experience and there still not be a post-life?
If it was, for example, a huge human figure in the sky that could, pick up a tree and throw it miles away
Uh-huh.
and affects the world in that way, then it'd be very hard for it to not be that, because I think scientifically, technologically, that's just not possible.
Okay.
Or the only explanation for that would be, where do we have the most financial power for somebody to be able to do that? And even they really couldn't make it happen.
Okay. How concerned are you about post-life?
Mildly, only enough to where they say it's supposed to be, maybe 100 years on Earth, and then the rest of your existence in the universe is the other part. And so it kind of, I feel like for most people, the end of their life, closer they get to death, is where they start to feel a lot more strongly about religion, because they're left with very little time.
Uh-huh.
So right now, I'm not concerned about it. It's not something I worry about, but it's something that I do want to consider and teach myself about, because of what's in the text saying that you should be thinking about it and be on the process of it.
Okay. And why does what something says in a text, um, why does that give you enough curiosity about this topic? Like, what is it about reading something in a text that drives
Mhm.
even just the mild curiosity that you have?
I have curiosity in the popularity of any topic. So when a bunch of people speak on religion or uh, gender or um, politics, anything, it drives my curiosity to understand why a lot of people are feeling so strongly about certain pieces, and I am inherently curious, and
Okay.
so I like to, I don't know, puzzle myself
Yeah.
with testing all these theories and seeing, like, why is it that way? And so if something's really popular, that's what I'll jump onto, and
I
religion is
admire,
one of those things.
yeah, I admire your curiosity. I think that's great. Um, hypothetically, if you, if it was proven somehow, I don't know how this could be done, but if it were proven to your own satisfaction that the post-life was not real, what would that mean for you?
If religion essentially was disproven, what would that mean for me?
If post-life was disproven.
Post-life? Okay.
Because that's what is driving your curiosity about religion,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so if that were somehow disproven, how would your life change?
So if post-life was disproven, I wouldn't, quote unquote, waste my time practicing or studying any religion. I think it would be as simple as that.
Okay. And currently there's no evidence for post-life. That's what you said, I think, right?
Yes.
Okay.
No evidence that no evidence that I've seen. There might be evidence that I haven't seen or heard of yet.
You're open to hearing evidence that would cause you to change your confidence.
Absolutely.
About it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How much evidence would you need to convince you that the post-life is real?
The impossible made possible.
Okay.
The unusual made usual. Anything that is just out of this world, just happening.
And what's the likelihood of that?
No such thing. There's, we can't say that there's a likelihood for it.
Okay, cool.
It's really coming down. Do you have something in mind?
Any questions for me?
Do you have an inherent opinion on any of these things, or like?
I'm kind of in your boat as far as my confidence in something being true should match the evidence or the reasoning that I have.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know of any like substantial evidence to cause me to be confident in the post-life either.
So what level for you would have you be positive that
0 to
post-life?
100, I'm probably like a 1 or 2 that the post-life is real.
Okay.
I'm like you, like I'm open to being presented with evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And I could be wrong, and there's probably evidence out there, maybe, that I haven't heard of yet. So, yeah, so it's pretty low.
But in particular, when it comes to what you would have to see, just engaging that same question, for me, it's like it would have to be, the impossible made possible, like on a fairly large scale.
Yeah.
What would it be for you to then decide that it's something that you must start investing a lot of your time into?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the evidence would look like either.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. I have an interesting perspective that I would like to share on the universe just generally.
Sure.
One of the things that I thought about probably as like coming out of high school, when I was starting to gauge things about the universe and religion, was also like, how was the universe created? Because it's one of the things they teach you in science class, and it's one thing that's debated from religion, saying, God created the universe, and then, science saying that it was the Big Bang, or a majority of science is saying that it was the Big Bang.
Uh-huh.
But there is that argument where the creation of God is questioned, where it's like, but where did he come from?
Yeah.
And a lot of people say he's outside of the realms of the universe, which means that he can do whatever he wants, because he can just make this and come and go. But I believe that there has to be almost like if a thing exists, the negative also has to exist. So the positive to the negative, the matter to the antimatter. And I think that exists in one theory, which I haven't heard it really anywhere, but I've thought about it for a while, and it's that, let's say it was the Big Bang. We know things about, through science. I mean, I didn't research them personally. I'm coming to trust scientists that dedicate their life to it. And so far, it's worked out for how our buildings get made and how we live our life, right? So for the universe, to me, it's like, okay, let's say it was a Big Bang. Let's say from a singularity came everything, and it exploded outwards. And then we have these ripples in the universe that end up being black holes. Those black holes that we know about and that we've seen through images and science, they could be that negative to the singularity that created everything. One of them ends up, capturing more universes, or sorry, more, galaxies in space and everything. That once everything exploded outwards, and we have these things start, tearing the universe and these black holes, capturing everything back. The largest one ends up prevailing, captures everything that happened back to the singularity, and then it all happens all over again.
Okay.
And so,
Like a reoccurring Big Bang.
exactly,
Uh-huh.
it's like a breath. There was the positive and the negative, and it was a loop. And a loop is easily explainable because then it's just the same thing can happen again, maybe different times, but that feels more explainable when there's circulation.
Yeah. And it kind of lines up with other things that happen in nature where, revolutions, and like everything's kind of cyclical in that way,
Yeah.
where everything starts over, like seasons and
Mhm.
yeah, which that sounds like it would be a different topic than the post life, because that could happen. That could be true, like multiple Big Bangs, and but that seems like that wouldn't necessitate post life or not post life, right? That'd be a different
I think that
claim, right?
it would claim that post-life doesn't exist. I mean, unless post-life would mean that we would just be created again. But
Right.
I mean, in the sense of like religion being a post-life thing is like within our universe, this one.
Yeah.
But the other claim that I was stating is that there's multiple of them and it's a reoccurring thing and cyclical.
So that could be an example of post life. Is that kind of what you're saying?
It could be, but in the sense of if we're using the time span in the space of this universe, then it
Right.
would be no, because it would just mean you had your time, you died, and that was it, kind of. Like, you would just have had that time, because then that's another thing,
Yeah.
right? It's
And
like,
are you okay with that? Are you okay with that being
yeah,
the way it is?
I think so.
Okay.
Because if I wasn't okay with it, then you'd just be driven into madness, or I would, because I would, begin to question everything. But, yeah, I would be okay with it just being nothingness. Is that what we were saying?
Yeah.
That it would, yeah.
You're okay with no post life?
With no post life, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I can, be safe in that, feeling, because I guess it doesn't affect me, which, at the soul, when we live, like, when we're alive, all we care about is self and self-preservation, naturally, just as animals, as mammals. But at that point, there would be no self. So I'm just kind of like, well, I'm not there to experience this nothingness anyway. So I mean, I wouldn't be worried about no post-life.
Well, I'm glad you'd be okay with it, especially since you have no evidence for it. I could talk about this all day, and I don't want to keep
Yeah.
you.
I mean,
appreciate you.
I'm good to keep talking, but I understand maybe there's
I think
some
we
other
might
people,
have
right?
a line going,
Yeah.
which it's a great problem because, like
Yeah,
I said,
yeah.
I would love to keep talking about this too with you. And if we're still here, like
Mhm.
later on, you can have another. We can explore something else if you want.
Right. Yeah. But I appreciate this.
Yeah.
It's cool, and I like to be able to continue questioning everything with other people who are curious.
That's awesome. I really appreciate that. I admire that point of view.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks
Thank you,
again.
David.